Imagine you're walking through an ancient city. The morning sun rises over the nearby river, casting a golden light across the towering walls that protect the city. You approach the outer gate, its deep blue bricks shining like polished gems. Rows of golden lions, dragons, and bulls line the walls, watching silently as you pass beneath the massive archway. Trumpets sound in the distance, and the smell of fresh bread and spices floats through the air. You step onto the processional way, a wide, stone-paved road where people from all corners of the empire walk, traders, priests, soldiers, and farmers, speaking in many languages and wearing colorful robes. As you move deeper into the city, you hear water trickling and look up in amazement. Rising high above the rooftops are the hanging gardens, layer after layer of trees, vines, and flowers growing on stone terraces. Water flows down the steps, carried by clever machines from the river below. Birds sing in the branches, and the cool mist offers relief from the desert heat. Nearby, a great ziggurat towers above everything else, like a mountain in the middle of the city. Its massive steps lead up toward the heavens. At the top, priests carry offerings to the gods, their figures small against the sky. Around you, the city buzzes with life, markets filled with goods from distant lands, schools teaching writing and astronomy, and temples where people pray for blessings. In every corner of Babylon, beauty and power are woven together. It is a place of wonder, a jewel in the ancient world. This is the city of Babylon at the peak of its civilization. At its height, the Babylonian Empire was one of the most advanced civilizations the world had ever seen. Babylon was located in Mesopotamia between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers in what is now Iraq. The rivers made the land rich and good for farming. People had lived there for thousands of years, but Babylon rose to power around 1792 BCE when a strong and clever king named Hammurabi came to the throne. He united the cities of Mesopotamia and created the first Babylonian Empire. Hammurabi is best known for his set of laws called the Code of Hammurabi. These were some of the first written laws in the world. They were carved into a tall stone pillar for everyone to see. The code had 282 laws about everything from business to crime to family life. Some of the punishments were very strict. An eye for an eye is one of the most famous examples, but the goal was to create order and fairness. The laws were written in cuneiform, the wedge-shaped writing used by the Babylonians, and were written in stone so they would last. Hammurabi was also a skilled leader. He built canals to bring water to crops, repaired temples, and made Babylon rich through trade. The city became known for its beauty, learning, and culture. People came from far away to live there. But after Hammurabi's death, the empire began to weaken, and eventually other groups took control of the region. Babylon rose again many years later. Around 600 BCE, under the rule of King Nebuchadnezzar II, the city reached its greatest power and glory. Nebuchadnezzar expanded the empire by conquering nearby lands, including the kingdom of Judah. He brought many people, including the Jewish population of Jerusalem, to Babylon. This time in history became known as the Babylonian captivity, an important part of Jewish history. Nebuchadnezzar is also remembered for his massive building projects. He rebuilt Babylon into one of the most beautiful cities in the ancient world. He built thick walls, grand palaces, and the famous Ishtar Gate. The gate stood over 40 feet tall and was made from glazed bricks that shone in deep blue like the sky. Across the surface of the gate were rows of animals made from golden-colored bricks, powerful bulls, dragons with snake-like bodies, and lions. These animals were sacred and represented different gods. The lions were symbols of Ishtar herself. As people passed through the gate during festivals, they would see these animals lined up along the walls like guardians of the city. One of the most legendary structures in Babylon was the Hanging Gardens. According to ancient stories, they were built by Nebuchadnezzar for his wife, who missed the green hills of her homeland. The gardens were said to be filled with trees, flowers, and waterfalls that rose high into the air. No one knows for sure if the gardens really existed, but they were later called one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world. The Babylonians were also great thinkers and scientists. They studied the stars and created early forms of astronomy. They divided time into hours, minutes, and seconds. They made accurate calendars and could predict eclipses. They were skilled in math, using a number system based on 60. That is why we still have 60 seconds in a minute and 60 minutes in an hour today. Religion played a big part in Babylonian life. The people believed in many gods, each with a role in the world. The most important god was Marduk, who became the chief god of Babylon. Temples, or ziggurats, were built to honor the gods. Ziggurats were some of the most impressive buildings in the Babylonian Empire. A ziggurat looked like a pyramid with flat levels stacked on top of each other, getting smaller as they rose higher. The most famous ziggurat in Babylon was called the Etemenanki, which means House of the Foundation of Heaven and Earth. It was believed to be around 300 feet tall, almost as tall as a modern 30-story building. Made of mud bricks and fired bricks, the ziggurat had stairways or ramps leading up to a small shrine at the top. Priests would climb to the top to perform ceremonies and offer gifts to the gods. People believed the gods lived high above in the sky, so the higher the temple, the closer it was to the heavens. These temples were the center of city life, where religion, science, and government all came together in one powerful place. Trade and farming helped the Babylonian Empire grow strong. Farmers grew wheat, barley, and dates, and raised sheep and cattle. Traders brought goods like wood, gold, silver, and spices from faraway places. Babylon was a busy city with people from many cultures. They lived in mud brick houses, wore clothes made from wool and linen, and wrote on clay tablets with reeds. But like many great empires, Babylon did not last forever. In 539 BCE, the Persian king Cyrus the Great conquered the city. He allowed the Jewish people to return to their homeland and respected the city's temples and traditions. Under Persian rule, Babylon remained important, but it was no longer the center of power. Even though the empire ended long ago, the legacy of Babylon lived on. Its ideas about law, science, and writing were passed down through history. Many of the stories in the Bible, such as the Tower of Babel and the story of Daniel, are set in Babylon. The city's name came to mean both greatness and pride, and sometimes too much pride. Today, archaeologists have found the ruins of ancient Babylon. They have uncovered temples, walls, and tablets that tell the story of this once great empire. The city is a reminder of the creativity, strength, and intelligence of the people who lived there. Even after thousands of years, Babylon's name still captures the imagination. The story of the Babylonian Empire is a story of rising from the rivers, building a mighty city, and shaping human history. It reminds us that long before modern technology, people were solving problems, asking big questions, and dreaming big dreams. From Hammurabi's laws to Nebuchadnezzar's buildings, Babylon shows how human beings can create wonders that last far beyond their time.